They tried to silence him. They erased his name. But he rebuilt from nothing. He fought every algorithm. They tried again and failed. Now he's back, stronger. From blackout to spotlight, he's at the White House, at the top of his game. Franchi lives.
You are about to enter another dimension, the dimension of truth, unfiltered and uncensored. Welcome to the Raw Feed with Gary Franchi.
Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, coming to you live from the heart of America. Unfiltered truth to millions on YouTube. Hit those donation links below. Every contribution powers our gear. Every contribution keeps the party going. Help me help you. Hit those donation links. YouTube channel memberships. Special acknowledgement in the fellowship. Your super chats keep me standing. Your Rumble rants fuel every round.
Say hello to super chats.
Spread the intel. Every repost extends our reach.
Super chats fuel this spectacle. Your Rumble rants give me strength.
24/7 members-only community, behind-the-scenes discussions.
Connect with fellow patriots.
My mama always said, life is like sharing the truth. Text this stream to your friends. What if I told you the app is real? Download the Next News Network app. Android users, take the Google Play path. iPhone users, App Store awaits.
Well, my friends, it's Christmas Eve. Are you ready? Have you got all your Christmas shopping done? I hope you have, because I have been burning the midnight oil over here, getting ready for the long break we're about to have. But we never sleep here, and that's literally the truth. I'm probably on like 2 hours of sleep right now. Don't tell anybody. Been working on developing some programs and systems that will help this program accelerate into the future. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. So if I seem like I'm a little tired today, that's probably why. So let's just jump right into the show, because Congress has just dusted off a weapon from 1776. Legal piracy. Government issued licenses for American citizens to hunt cartel assets. No, it's not a movie pitch. That's a bill that's sitting in the U.S. Senate right now, and it's only the opening act. Good evening, America. I'm Gary Franchi. Welcome to the Raw Feed. This is where we cut through the noise, tell you what they don't want you to hear, and let you, the people, in the live chat, drive the conversation. Tonight, we've got 5 stories that the corporate press is running from, and every single one of them matters. But before we dive in, I want to take you back to this very date, December 23rd, 242 years ago. Because what happened on this day in 1783 might be the most important political act in American history that nobody talks about anymore. On December 23rd, 1783, General George Washington did something no victorious military commander had ever done. He walked into the Maryland State House in Annapolis, stood before the Continental Congress, and voluntarily surrendered his commission as commander-in-chief. He gave up power, not because he lost, because he won. And he believed the military serves the people and not the other way around. King George III reportedly said that if Washington actually did that, he would be the greatest man in the world. And he did it right here on this date. The man who could have been king chose to be a citizen. So why does that matter tonight? Because everything we're covering on this show is about that very same fight. The fight between those who hoard power and those who return it to the people. The fight between systems designed to protect the connected and movements rising to expose them. Now look what's happening right now. Senator Mike Lee and Representative Tim Burchett just introduced legislation to revive letters of marque, the same constitutional tool the founders used to unleash privateers against enemies of the Republic. This time the target is the Mexican drug cartels. And Elon Musk has endorsed it, President Trump supports it, and suddenly Americans are asking a question that wouldn't have sounded crazy 6 months ago. That would have sounded crazy. Can I sign up to be a privateer? The answer might just be yes. Then, of course, there's the Minnesota fraud bombshell just keeps getting bigger. Congressman James Comer now demanding Treasury records as investigators trace wire transfers, allegedly funneling taxpayer dollars overseas, including to China. Whistleblowers say that state employees flagged massive fraud to the Kamala Harris campaign. They ignored it. The DNC elevated Tim Walz anyway. And the money trail leads, guess where? Straight through Barack Obama's DOJ, where insiders allegedly rigged settlements to benefit only political allies. This is not a local story. This is a system. Meanwhile, the DEI empire continues to collapse. When Trump took office, the NIH ripped out its entire diversity apparatus and returned it to merit-based science. And now the dominoes are falling. A DEI police chief in D.C. just had a public meltdown after getting caught falsifying crime stats. The video is unbelievable. A Facebook DEI director who stole millions is heading to prison. Data confirms white men were systematically purged from television writing rooms. And for the first time, the EEOC is telling everyone, including white men, to report discrimination. Equal means equal again. And speaking of broken systems, the Democrats' 2028 frontrunners are already exposed. Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom are colliding, both dragging catastrophic records behind them. Harris is on yet another reboot. Newsom presided over tens of billions in California fraud that can't even be tracked. These are the candidates they're proposing as national leaders. But here's where it gets good. Because on the eve of Christmas Eve, miracles are erupting across this country. In Florida, 43 missing children were just rescued in the largest operation in state history. In North Carolina, a business owner fixed an elderly woman's home and raised $20,000 when she had nothing. Bible sales, they're exploding. Faith is rising, and evil is losing its grip. Washington, George, he gave up power to prove the republic could work. Tonight, we're going to show you the Americans who are fighting to make sure it still does. So let's get into it, folks, and welcome you to the show. Kim Wig, Mrs. Potty Kenny, Bill's Rules. Sure, you in the house. Good to see you guys. Hope you're having a wonderful eve of Christmas. Merry Christmas, Deborah. Night School French. James Frey. Everybody's filing in. Make sure you, Chan is here. Berlinda. Just checking in. AJ Ward. Ron the Don. War Priestess. Good to see y'all here. Merry Christmas, Mr. Savant Guard. All right, let's get into the show, Brian. We got a lot of news to cover. And we got to do some last-minute Christmas shopping. Okay, what is it?
Outdone themselves.
Where am I? Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's get at it, guys. What if I told you the United States government is about to authorize American citizens to hunt drug cartels for profit? Not the military, not law enforcement, private citizens with government-issued licenses to seize cartel ships, cartel cash, and cartel assets anywhere outside our borders. It sounds like something out of the 1700s because it is. And right now it's sitting in Congress. It's waiting for a vote. The question isn't whether it's legal, because it already is. The question is, why haven't we done it sooner? You see, here's what's at stake, because the Venezuelan drug cartels have become the most powerful criminal organization on the planet. They're not just trafficking drugs, they're running a shadow government south of the border, laundering billions, corrupting officials, and flooding American streets with fentanyl that kill tens of thousands of our people every single year. And what have we done? Well, decades of drug wars, billions in spending, endless task forces, and the cartels are even stronger than ever. Now Congress is looking at a constitutional tool that's been sitting on the shelf since the founding fathers put it there, letters of marque and reprisal. The same tool that helped win the Revolutionary War, the same tool that let private ships hunt British vessels. Only this time, the target's the cartel empire, and the people lining up to do it, they're not soldiers. They're Americans who want in on the fight. And as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing that we've learned, uncertainty isn't temporary, it's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. And for over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves by diversifying with gold and silver. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital, it's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So before the year ends, take one smart step towards a safer future and visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit today. That's nextnewsgold.com. Now here's where it gets interesting. Senator Mike Lee didn't just float this idea, he introduced the actual legislation. The Cartel, Marque, and Reprisal Reauthorization Act will let President Trump commission private American operators to go after cartel property and persons on land or sea outside of U.S. borders. Representative Tim Burchett introduced the House version. Elon Musk has publicly endorsed it, saying it would work super well. And here's the kick. Nobody's talking about the United States never signed the 1856 Paris Declaration that banned privateering, meaning this option was never off the table. It's been legal the entire time. But my question is, if it's already legal, why do we need to have another bill? We have the law. Let's just get at it, right? Yeah, people are talking about this all over the interwebs. Charlie posted this. This is the actual bill to authorize the President of the United States to issue letters of marque and reprisal. We've talked about this before. President Trump, letters of marque and reprisal. We didn't sign the 1856 Paris Declaration. So, yar. What are the letters of marque and reprisal? How could they be used to weaken drug cartels? James Madison, letter of marque. There you have it. One of the founders, President of the United States, to all who shall see these present greetings. Be it known that we, the government, on the 5th of June, have authorized thee henceforth to take action against the British. Well, today we're taking action against the freaking cartels. Check this out.
Let us be pirates. Like, this is officially the Trump wants to let us be pirates. Like, this is officially the coolest administration ever. They want to bring back letters of marque and let us be pirates.
Hell yeah. You want to? Let's go. Let's go. I'm going to get my pirate's hat and we're going to do this. All right? We going hunting.
Do you know how many people, like, I live in Florida. Do you know how many people?
Oh, Florida's going to go freaking nuts. Dude, remember all those boat parades? They're all going to be flying the freaking Jolly Roger. And Trump flags. What flag do you fly under? We fly under the Trump flag with the Jolly Roger. We mean to board this vessel.
Neighbors, friends, just people I've met in passing who would immediately sign up for this. Like, boat.
Oh, dude, they're going to get the boats out right there in the Gulf of America. They're going to load up the 50 cals. They're going to go hunting. They're going to go out in the Caribbean. Pop, 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 pop. That's what's going to happen. Oh, this is going to be great. Oh, this is going to be freaking awesome. Let's go. Straight up. The pirates are back.
Like, fucking boat sales would go through the roof because people they'd be like, I'm going to go buy a boat just to be a fucking pirate. Like, and I live in Tampa Bay. We have a fucking pirate festival. Could you imagine Gasparilla when we're actually pirates? Like, we're not just celebrating, we're not just having a party about the old pirate. No, we are currently pirating. Oh my God. Please, for the, I tell Congress I want them to pass a lot, right? There's a lot of bills where I'm like, you've got to get this through. But this, please, for the love of God, pass this bill.
Pass this bill. I'm all for it. What do you guys think? Yada, matey. We're going to board this vessel. Proposed. Congress should issue letters of marque to allow American citizens to engage in legal piracy against the vessels of Venezuela.
His property. Phil, $5 says Trump should ask the GOP and Congress to authorize letters of marque against Venezuela so U.S. entrepreneurs could legally seize their ships. Yeah. So, of course, letters of marque. I say marque. Letters of marque is the correct pronunciation. Letters of marque are found in the Constitution. And it's an indication, by the way, in the Second Amendment context, how silly today's gun control laws are? Because in the constitutional context, individual American citizens were allowed to own warships with cannons on them to exercise letters of marque. A letter of marque is a letter from the government. It could apply either on land or sea, but most commonly on sea, that gives you permission to act like a pirate. Now you're a legal pirate. You can go seize ships, seize property, do all the things that pirates do, except you have a permission slip from the U.S. government. And they can apply on land, too, for land-based military forces. And just tell them you get to seize. Traditionally, how it would work is you get to keep a percentage of the assets that you seize, which could be a lot of money. Boats carry a lot of stuff. Now, it might be more complicated in the drug. You can't let them keep the drugs, obviously.
Oh, yeah, they're going to keep some of the drugs. You know, it's Florida. Give me something to go get them. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean, though. A little for me, a little for you, a little for the party next week.
Maybe you could pay them with the value of the 2 million barrels of oil you just seized.
Yeah, I'll take that. Let's go. Let's go. Chuck DeVore, that's great. I proposed last year, great force multiplier to bolster an aging U.S. naval fleet. It's time to bring back the privateers. Mike Lee, would you like to seize cartel assets as a privateer? My bill would allow the president to issue you a letter of marque. Time to take these pirates down. Patriots of the Caribbean. I love that headline. The Patriots of the Caribbean. Senator Mike Lee authorizes privateers to combat cartels outside the border. Elon Musk, that would work super well. Elon's on board. Oh yeah, if you know Elon's on board, that's going to be awesome. He's gonna make the whole thing robotic. He's gonna freaking robot pirates. Oh yeah, it's not gonna end well for Venezuela. Oh, you think you have so many troops? Well, we just manufactured 100,000 pirates in our secret Elon Musk X-Force pirate lab. Tim Burchett, proud to work on letters of marque with base Mike Lee and have the support of Trump and Musk.
Congressman, welcome back to Fox and Friends. Could privateers help take down cartels in the Caribbean Sea? Republican lawmakers Tim Burchett and Mike Lee hope so. They're introducing bills to both the House and the Senate, respectively. The president would issue a letter of marque, which lets private citizens act against U.S. enemies and seize property, something that has not been done for over 200 years. And it's already gained support from Elon Musk, who says, quote, it would work super well. The man behind the mission, Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, joins us now. Congressman, so great to have you on. So why do you think this is necessary to have a bill to allow private citizens to do this?
Well, first of all, we're basically under attack, and there's constitutional consequences. This was done by, I believe, President Jefferson first, the Barbary pirates. It's in the Constitution. It's provided for. It just has to get congressional approval, and I think it's a legitimate way to go after these cartels. They're not they're armed combatants, so they're not necessarily military. So there's a constitutional question, and you know, Congress is like a sieve made out of chicken wire, ma'am. And there's no secrets in this bunch, and there's no loyalty to this great nation, especially our military. And as soon as, you know, I remember back when President Trump took out some Soleimani, I believe it was, who's an evil man. And the Democrats in Congress, Pelosi and the rest of them, they were mad that they didn't get his approval, as if he had to take out this dirt bag. And I think it just gives President Trump just another tool in his toolbox to go after him. And Mike Lee is a superstar, man. There's like, outside of Andy Biggs, I think he's probably my favorite Mormon in Congress.
All right. Well, do you think that private citizens will actually do it?
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. And they would be. Look, they're not going to run an ad in Soldier of Fortune magazine or down here at Toddy's Backdoor Tavern in Knoxville. They'll have privateers that will be former operators. You'll have SEALs, special operations people. It'll be top notch. There's an insurance provision in this. There's all kinds of things that are. It's just not some ragtag thing like you'd see on some movie somewhere. These are going to be first-rate operators. These are men and women possibly that are some of the most patriotic, well-tuned as maybe as you could say, military folks, and I think it's a great way to do it, and it saves all the constitutional back and forth, and it keeps our military out of it.
Yeah, let's go. You see, think about what it means. For decades, we fought cartels with bureaucracy, diplomacy, and half measures while they built billion-dollar narco states. Now the conversation has shifted. Americans are openly asking to sign up, and investors are calling it a new frontier, and the cartels, the same organizations that have operated with near impunity, are suddenly facing the possibility of being hunted by a force they can't bribe, can't intimidate, and can't predict. Legal piracy is back on the table, and the pirates are coming for them. So here's why this matters to you. The cartels declared war on America a long time ago with fentanyl, with violence, with corruption that bleeds across our border every day. And for decades, the response has been reports and summits and strongly worded statements while the body counts climbed. Now something different is happening. Lawmakers are reaching back into the Constitution and pulling out a weapon the founders understood. Flexible, deniable, and brutally effective. Letters of marque turned private citizens into instruments of national defense. And it worked against the British, so it could work against the cartels. Only question is whether we'll have the will to use it. So here's my question for the comments. Should America authorize privateers to go after cartel assets? Yes or no? Do you want to be a patriot of the Caribbean? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you want to gear up and show your support for the show, check out the Next News merch shop. It is linked in the description. I'm ready. Let's go. I am ready to become a pirate of the Patriot of the Caribbean. We got a super chat that came in. James Fay, hello, N3 Patriots, $2. Thank you, sir. Truthy Ruthie, also 20. Merry Christmas, everyone, and blessings. Amen. All right. Moving right along. Got to expose this fraud pyramid that's happening right now, because it is real. What if I told you there's a money trail from Minnesota straight through the Department of Justice and back to the Obama administration? A system designed to move your tax dollars to political allies while freezing out anyone who didn't play ball. Whistleblowers tried to sound the alarm. They were ignored. The DNC knew about fraud so massive it should have ended careers, and they promoted the guy overseeing it to the national ticket anyway. Now Congress is pulling the receipts, and the names at the center of the web are the ones that you already know. So here's what's on the line. We're not talking about a local scandal in one state. We're talking about a system, an architecture built to funnel settlement money, federal grants, and taxpayer funds, that's your money, to politically connected law firms and organizations while deliberately cutting out anyone on the wrong side of the agenda. At the center of this sits Tony West, Kamala Harris's own brother-in-law, who ran the DOJ's civil division under Barack Hussein Obama. Insiders say that West's team structured settlement terms so narrowly that only their allies could benefit. Conservative groups, ineligible by design. Now fast forward to Minnesota. Billions in fraud, wire transfers traced overseas, including to China. And state employees who flagged it directly to the Harris campaign during the 2024 election. You see, they knew, but they ignored it anyway. And Tim Walz, the governor who oversaw this disaster, became vice presidential nominee anyway. And breaking right now as we watch this financial house of cards collapse, there's never been a more important time to ask yourself, what happens when the system stops working for you? When billions vanish and nobody's held accountable? You can't rely on the same people who created the mess to protect your family, and that's why I trust My Patriot Supply. This Christmas, they're running a buy one, gift two special buy one emergency gift kit. Get 2 absolutely free. Grab a 4-week supply for yourself, and they'll throw in 2 1-week kits, perfect for gifting. When fraud runs this deep and the money trail leads this high, self-reliance is not optional, it's survival. So head to preparewithgary.com right now. The deal ends when the holiday season is over. So preparewithgary.com. Don't wait for the next shoe to drop. Now here's where it gets worse. Congressman James Comer has officially requested suspicious activity reports from the Treasury Department. His oversight committee is following the money, bank records, wire transfers, shell entities. Any cover-up by the Walz administration, he says, will be exposed. And the connections keep on piling up. Tim Walz visited China roughly 30 times. Wire transfers from Minnesota fraud cases allegedly went overseas, including to China. Commentators are openly asking how this level of fraud happens without federal blindness or cooperation. The DOJ settlement machine is back in the crosshairs, accused of turning legal penalties into political slush funds. Let's go to James Comer now. He posted this just 7 hours ago. Says they're examining the extensive taxpayer fraud that's uncovered in Minnesota, following the money, and just requested all relevant suspicious activity reports. Here he is on Fox talking about it.
Other states that come along.
That's the attitude that so many
That includes our next guest, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. Chairman, thanks so much for joining us. I do appreciate it. I'm glad to see you taking action. The amount of things that are coming across your desk in the first year is just unbelievable to me of this congressional, 2-year term. But tell us what you're seeing in Minnesota, what you plan to do about it.
Well, first of all, for Tim Walz to say he didn't think it reached the billions category, I'm pretty confident it did exceed $1 billion. But let's say it's hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the attitude that so many Democrats I see in Congress and so many Democrats who occupy the governor's offices around the United States. They just don't care about the taxpayer dollars. They don't have any sympathy for the hardworking taxpayers who work hard and send their tax dollars to their state capital or to Washington, D.C. But what we've got in this investigation, Jason, is we've got something that is really helpful in congressional investigations, and that's credible whistleblowers. We're bringing in the state employees who first blew the whistle that there was fraud in Minnesota. And what we're learning is that they've been trying to warn Keith Ellison, the attorney general, and Tim Walz, the governor, for years, not weeks, not months, but years, about the ongoing fraudulent activity from this massive Somali population in Minnesota. And neither Walz nor Ellison wanted to do anything about it for political reasons, because this has become a major base for the Democrat Party in Minnesota. So thankfully, we've had some state employees who have come forward. We're going to bring them in and start interviewing and deposing them. Hopefully, we'll get some information on some bank accounts that I can subpoena, and then we'll follow the money and figure out how much money was stolen and who played a part in that.
Yeah, most people don't realize you actually have a banking background, so numbers are not difficult for you like they are Tim Walz. So I think that will play a key difference. And these whistleblowers are key here. In terms of where you go next, you do the interviews. Do you expect to have public hearings on this? Where does this ultimately go?
Well, we may have hearings, but we've been doing a lot of depositions and transcribed interviews, and I think you would agree, Jason, those just are so much more efficient than public hearings. But I would assume at some point we will have public hearings because the American people are very interested in this. I've heard more people comment on this investigation than any we've done in a long time, because it's such a massive amount of money. If you're talking $2 or $3 billion from social programs in the state of Minnesota, which isn't a very big state, that's a significant percentage of their whole budget for social programs. And, we're...
Oh, man. Here, let's go to Minnesota now. Prime example of the billions of dollars in fraud happening in Minnesota. This is one of the hundreds of daycares receiving millions of dollars from the government. This daycare can't even spell learning right and received $1.9 million tax exempt.
There's no windows, no. Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong and they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. And if you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working, midday. Children should be in here. And this place is licensed for 99 children. And this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing. And like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learning right. Here in Minnesota,
they can't even spell learning right. Okay, you want to follow the money, the fraud pyramid? They're right. Give this man a listen. His breakdown spot on. President Trump was right all along. All roads lead right back to Obama, who appointed Kamala Harris' brother, Tony West. Let's listen.
Together with the fraud that we're... Okay, I hope you're ready for this video. This won't be a short one. I'm going to tie in exactly how I believe Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, Tony West, Kamala Harris. All of these people are linked together with the fraud that we're seeing unfold right now. And I'm going to explain to you how it is. See, it starts way back when Barack Obama was president. When he was president, he was in charge of appointing somebody to the Department of Justice Civil Division. It's Tony West. And you say, well, who's Tony West? It's Kamala Harris's brother-in-law. So he appoints Kamala Harris's brother-in-law, Tony West, but not only does he do that, but he removes the restriction that Congress has to approve any settlement over $100,000. See, Congress used to have to approve that. Once Barack took away that restraint, DOJ can sue for anything with nobody's approval. They could sue for $1 gazillion, and Congress doesn't have to approve for a settlement. Why is the settlement important? Because in a settlement, you don't have to disclose all the law firms involved. You just settle. Now, people complain when Tony West was settling all of these cases. They were all minority-based cases. People suing the Justice Department for minority-based this, minority-based that. The Justice Department, what they would do because of Tony West is settle. 50 million, 40 million, $1 billion, nobody knew because they wouldn't release it because Barack Obama already signed off saying, you don't got to tell nobody. So Kamala Harris's brother-in-law was taking all of this money, giving it to all of these law firms. Now, you know, Barack, he's an attorney. Michelle Obama, she's an attorney. So all of these attorneys out there were getting all of this money from the DOJ now, being fed and loving it. Tony West, another attorney, he's now the head of Uber. That's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that later. He's the head of Uber legal department. But now all of these attorneys are eating right now. Nobody knows how much money is going on. Kind of like with BLM, when people were donating all this money to BLM, but BLM wasn't giving money to the people who it was intended for. That's what these law firms were doing. They were keeping the funds. So people were suing the Justice Department on behalf of minorities. Minorities weren't getting the money, though. The law firms were getting the money. So after they saw how this scheme was working, now you got Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar, Michelle Obama. What was Michelle Obama big for? We got to feed all these kids. This is about nutrition. We got to make sure every kid has a meal. That was Michelle Obama. Ilhan Omar says, oh, we could do that in Minnesota. I'll start a whole new program. So now she's using all of the legalese from Michelle Obama, go to Minnesota. They create this feeding our future, no kid starves. And where did all the money end up? In Kenya, China, Somalia. Who's linked to Kenya? Barack Obama. Kenyan relatives. Who's in China? Tim Walz. He has all these Chinese connections. All the banks in China know who Tim Walz is. He was a big politician. He's got connections over there. So when it came time for the Democrats to choose, after Biden says, I can't do this, they chose Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris linked in with who? The DOJ already, Tony West. He already went to Uber. But guess who's also they're linked in with? Tim Walz in Minnesota through Ilhan Omar. So now you got all of these people who are all linked together, already got previous dealings with each other. The Democrats are like, why don't we run a primary? Barack is like, we're not running a primary. We're going to appoint Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, you're going to choose Tim Walz. Everybody's like, who the hell's Tim Walz? See, Tim Walz has already been deep in it with Ilhan Omar and Michelle Obama's food programs. They've already been deep in scamming already. So they need to choose somebody that can keep it rolling. You can't choose an outside Democrat. You can't choose a Pete Buttigieg or anybody like that, because they're going to be like, what the hell is all this going on? Now, when Trump finally won and he came in and he says, we're cleaning this all up, everybody started resigning. The head of Social Security office resigning. All of these people started resigning because they knew the jig was up. All of this money that they were putting up for minorities and putting up for illegals, it was all just being swindled. Nobody was being taken care of. All these cities are going bankrupt right now because the feds weren't funneling this money to it. The states was like, well, we'll fund and you guys reimburse us. And the feds were like, okay, $9 billion is flowing out of this country into over other banks. Now, if any bank here in America was like, we're getting billions and billions of dollars put into our banking system, what the hell's going on? But if you're doing it in China, you're doing it in Kenya, you're doing it in Somalia, you're doing it in Sweden, you're doing it in the Cayman Islands, you're putting this money all over the place. American banks don't know what's up. You can even put it in banks over in Ukraine. Ukraine was kind of getting money on. It's like, hey, we'll help you guys move the money. As long as, we got our man Zelensky in power, we will help you move the money. Everything was happening right in front of everybody's faces. Now they want to claim, oh, it's not as big as what it is. I did a story about this 2 years ago, talking about Tim Walz and Tony West and all of this fraud. 2 years ago, I was talking about it. It's now 2025, and people are finally saying, hey, Tim Walz is involved in fraud. I said it 2 years ago. I said, this dude is in bed with Tony West. Tony West was running fraud at the DOJ. Everybody was talking about investigating Tony West, and all of a sudden it just disappeared. When Trump won, it disappeared. Like, what happened? Were we investigating this guy or what? He was the one scamming the DOJ. He was using minorities to fund all of these law firms who were in turn giving money to Kamala Harris, an attorney, Michelle Obama, attorney, Barack Obama, attorney, Tony West, attorney. So all of our tax dollars are flowing to all these attorneys. Where's the money at? And once Barack Obama already knew Obamacare was a scam from the get-go, he was like, this is going to be too easy. We've got illegals coming in from Somalia, illegals coming in from all over the world. We can have them apply for and use Medicaid, Medicare, all of these services, creating dummy companies and everything else to make sure we trap the tax dollars in our scheme. We don't let the Americans into the scheme. We do the scheme with the people coming into the country that don't know how our laws work. We're the attorneys here. We just need a bunch of patsies. So all of these people in the Somalian community has no idea they were being played. You guys are being used. You got autistic kids, you got hungry kids, you need housing, you need lodging. All of these people were being used by a group of attorneys who had this grand scheme on how to get tax dollars under everybody's noses using programs and NGOs. I'm telling you, this goes way deeper than what a lot of people think. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are not masterminds. This was a mastermind affair. This right here started at the very, very top a long time ago, knowing we could get tax dollars out of these people if we play by the rules. The only way they could play by the rules is if they got people that didn't really know the rules. You need people who think this is on the up and up, but you're using scams to get there. You're using a collection of people who know exactly how to work through the loopholes. You're getting kickbacks. So a lot of politicians were getting kickbacks. A lot of agencies out there are getting kickbacks. You can't tell me these people saw all that money come through and they didn't know the wiser. You can't tell me that. These are intelligent people with degrees, with experiences in law, with experience in politics, experience in government agencies. And you telling me a group of Somali pirates who probably didn't even have high school educations tricked everybody out of $9 billion? I'm not buying it. Not
Talk about laying it out. Oh, of course, the Kamala Harris campaign, they knew what was going on, and they didn't care.
They said there's a group of state employees in Minnesota who said that they flagged this for Kamala Harris's campaign in the DNC when she tapped Tim Walz. And they said nothing about it. And there's a reason why Brooke Rollins yesterday in the cabinet meeting said that she's going after other blue states who are refusing to turn over SNAP data. It is because this is not just a Minnesota problem. This is a California problem. This is a New York problem. Our taxpayer funds are being exploited and abused, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
And, you know, at the heart of each of those.
And we are. The Somalis have figured out exactly the perfect plan as how to scam Minnesota taxpayers out of their money. Well, the last guy we just saw says they were just basically patsies being told what to do. Other people collecting the cash. I mean, you have to get hundreds, if not thousands of people to come in and sign up. And these are just, you know, people from Somalia. They don't know any better. Oh, roll out the red carpet. We're in America now. And you have these people pulling their strings. So I think the last guy really nailed it. This woman thinks it's the Somalians. Well, no, it goes all the way back to Barack, clearly.
She cannot. Here in Minnesota, a local realtor reached out to me to tell me about another way that Somalians are scamming Minnesotans out of their taxpayer dollars. In her community alone, Somalians have bought up over 455 homes. They buy these homes, claiming they're turning these homes into home health care centers. She says the way we know Somalians have bought these homes is because all of a sudden, extremely nice cars start showing up. Mercedes, BMWs, the nicest cars are parked in the driveway. And she said, by law, the state will not come out and inspect these homes and make sure these homes even have clients living in these homes. She also said, as a realtor, she cannot disclose to people wanting to buy homes in this neighborhood that Somalians have bought that home and they're using that as a home health care center. She said these homes can even take people in who've just been released from jail, and the neighborhood does not need to know about this. But she says many of these homes do not even have clients in them. But the state is writing them checks every month for the clients that the Somalians say are in these homes. And these Somalians are making millions of dollars off of these homes every year. The Somalians have figured out exactly the perfect plan as to how to scam Minnesota taxpayers out of their money.
So, okay, yeah, I get what she's saying. That's a totally different level of scam. Wire transfers to China. Who do we know that visited China at least 30 times? Tim Walz. Wire transfers to China and East Africa. Tim Walz is also guilty of being the last Chinese pawn. China loves what happens in Minnesota. So, here's the big picture that's forming right now. Remove oversight at DOJ, structure settlements towards reward to reward allies, ignore whistleblowers when they scream about it, elevate compromised officials to national office, then dare the public to connect the dots. But the dots are connecting themselves right now. Subpoenas are flying, bank records are being pulled, and the same people who thought they'd never be held accountable are watching their paper trail come alive. The era of polite denial is over because this is a reckoning. Now, here's why every American should care about this story. This is not just about the state of Minnesota. It's not just about Tim Walz. This is about a system designed from the inside to move your money to their friends while making sure you never find out. Tony West at DOJ, Tim Walz, Minnesota, Kamala Harris on the ticket, the same circles, the same protections, the same silence when whistleblowers try to speak up. And now the receipts are coming out, wire transfers, treasury reports, oversight demands, they cannot ignore anymore. The question isn't whether this happened, the evidence says it did. The question is whether anyone will actually be held accountable or whether the machine protects its own one more time. So here's my question for you in the comments. Do you believe that DOJ was weaponized to protect their political allies? Yes or no? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop. It's linked below. Tamra Jennings coming in with $5. Nice to see you there. All right, no comment. All right, sorry, I was up so late last night, and I'm paying for it now. I'm doing my best to get through this. All right. Stop whining, Franchi. They told you DEI was permanent. They told you it was progress. They told you fighting it was racist. Well, I've got some news for you tonight. The whole thing is collapsing in real time. And the people who built it are running for cover. Police chiefs melting down on camera. Executives heading to prison. Data proving what we knew all along. This was never about equality. It was about control. And now President Trump has ripped it out by the roots, starting with the institutions that were supposed to protect your health. The woke machine is eating itself, and we have the receipts. Now, here's what's at stake. For over a decade, DEI infiltrated every institution in America. Government agencies, corporations, universities, even scientific research. It wasn't about diversity. It was a loyalty filter, a way to override merit, rig outcomes, and punish anyone who didn't comply. Grants got tied to skin color. Hiring decisions got tied to ideology. And if you spoke up, you got labeled and blacklisted and canceled. But here's what they didn't count on. When you build a system on lies, eventually the lies come out. Now we're watching it happen. The NIH just gutted its entire DEI apparatus. Data shows white men were systematically purged from television writing rooms from 48% down to 12% in a decade. A DEI police chief in Washington, D.C. had a screaming public meltdown after getting caught falsifying crime stats. And a Facebook DEI director who stole $5 million is heading straight to prison. The cracks are not forming. The walls are falling. As we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've learned, uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal is not a plan, it's a gamble. And for over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves by diversifying with gold and silver. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So before the year ends, take a smart step towards a safer future and visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit today. That's nextnewsgold.com. And now it gets even deeper. J.D. Vance just declared that in the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. He said DEI is being sent to the dustbin of history. Stephen Miller called it what it is, DEI communism. Not just redistributing wealth, but redistributing guilt, opportunity, and rights based on what you look like. Meanwhile, the EEOC is now openly telling white men to report discrimination. Finally. They're hiring attorneys nationwide to enforce civil rights laws equally for everyone. Even the science is getting corrected. Remember when woke archaeologists claimed that Britain's first inhabitant was black? DNA evidence just proved she was a local white woman. Ideology distorted the science, and the media ran with it anyway. The lies are unraveling everywhere you look. Now, check this out. Let's go and find here's Stephen Miller. Check this out.
So the commie boot camp. Sometimes we laugh at this. We see him doing sit-ups. Is that a concern to you, Mr. Miller?
Well, what's a concern to me is that we don't have a Democrat Party anymore. They still have the D in front of the name. They call themselves Democrats. We have a Communist Party, but it's actually the worst kind of communism imaginable, which is DEI communism. So it's not just we're going to redistribute your wealth, it's we're going to import massive numbers of illiterate refugees and give all your wealth to them. And we're going to give their kids the first spot in every college. And we're going to make sure their kids are the next wave of doctors who are going to butcher you when you're having a medical emergency. So we've combined the two worst ideologies imaginable. Communism and DEI is literally a recipe for national death. That is what Democrats are bringing us, Jesse.
That's right. Oh, so
That's
the commie boot
what
camp.
The Democrats are bringing us. Secretary Kennedy, 24 hours ago, thank you, NIH Director Jay, for your leadership in rooting out DEI and returning the NIH to the gold standard. How we cured DEI, the National Institute of Health. Cured DEI. 2 lazy DEI hired garbage men told this lady her garbage was too heavy for weeks and wouldn't take it, so she did it for them.
She did this. When the garbage truck drove past her house, she came outside and asked one of the workers why they hadn't picked up her trash for the past 2 weeks. The worker explained that her trash bin was too heavy to lift into the truck, so she did this.
Do you guys care if I put them in? This is the second week I was taking them. They're getting kind of gross.
Say that again?
Can I dump them in then?
Sure.
Watch out, buddy.
Unreal. Who's ever seen anything like it? Talk about taking out the trash. Remember that judge? Judge Gonzalez, who let Lawrence Reed out before he lit a woman on fire? She admits she's a DEI hire. Here's J.D. Vance.
Against treating, unlike the left, we stand against treating anybody. And I love what Nikki said about this. We don't treat anybody different because of their race or their sex. So we have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are, not on ethnicity and things they can't control.
That's how it should be. Man, the people in control, they're the ones that let this whole thing force it off the rails. Here's the DEI police chief, Pamela Smith, having a screaming meltdown.
Never would I compromise my integrity. Never would I compromise 28 years in law enforcement for a few folk who couldn't stand to be held accountable. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it again. So I'm going to the Bible when I say this to my haters. F you. The same folks I
don't remember seeing that in the Bible. Do you guys? Do you remember that scripture? No, I don't recall that one. I don't know. Drop a comment if you can find a scripture for that. I don't know.
That they changed their numbers, and I did not. The report is very clear. I did not direct anyone. You should investigate those folks.
Yep. Deflection, point the finger, accuse everyone else except you, right? DNA shatters woke history myth as first black Briton is actually white. Ohio State appears to have a racist DI program, which is hateful skin color-based discrimination hiring practices. If you applied for a job, too white. File a complaint with the EEOC and get a lawyer. You may win compensation.
So we looked at 10 of the most prominent public universities, and we found that Ohio State University has the most people dedicated to DEI, 200 people, excuse me. So they spent over $13 million paying them last year. That's the equivalent of tuition for 1,000 in-state students for Ohio. So 1,000 students are paying for their DEI structure. And they're paid very well. The two highest paid are paid just about $300,000 each. There are many people making $200,000, 250,000. And the thing with DEI is it's not about equality or equal opportunity. It's a radical ideology. It forces people to groups of oppressor or oppressed, and it does the opposite of its claims to be inclusive. It's divisive, and it makes racial prejudice okay. We sort of expect this from Harvard or UC Berkeley. But OSU is Midwestern Big Ten school. It's a mostly red state. The incoming vice president, J.D. Vance, he wrote Hillbilly Elegy about growing up there. He's among the alumni. So it's not the first place you'd expect DEI to take hold, but here it is.
And by the way, he has called out OSU for their DEI efforts. OSU and other universities also receive a lot of money from hostile foreign governments. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
So here's the moment that captures it all. DC's DEI police chief Pamela Smith, the one caught falsifying crime stats, gave her resignation speech. Instead of apologizing, instead of accountability, she had a screaming meltdown on camera. She quoted the Bible and told her critics, and I'm going here, she says, F you. That's who was running public safety in our nation's capital. That's what DEI put in charge, a system that elevated ideology over competence, and when it failed, blamed everybody else. The mask didn't just slip, it shattered. So here's why this matters to every American watching tonight. DEI was never about fairness. It was about power. Power to decide who gets hired, who gets fired, who gets funded, who gets froze out, who gets to speak up, and who gets silenced. For years, they told you it was progress. That questioning it made you the problem. But the data is out. The firings are happening. The prosecutions are starting. And the institutions that bent the knee are scrambling to course correct before the next wave hits. Trump pulled the plug at NIH. Vance declared the apology era is over. The EEOC enforcing the law equally again. This is what accountability looks like when the political will finally exists to demand it. So here's my question for you guys. Do you believe DEI was ever about equality, or was it always about control? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments and check out the Next News merch shop linked in the description. All right. Let's rock and roll. She didn't say which Bible. Yeah. How about those Bears? Yeah, I'm not a sports guy, but I was at my my brother's house. We watched the game, and everybody was going nuts. Everybody was going crazy. I didn't personally understand the implications of that. I mean, I know the Green Bay rivalry and everything. So that, to me, is on the surface, that's what I saw. But I didn't understand the significance of the plays and parallels and what was at stake at the moment. So it didn't have that immediate impact on me. But my brothers were going nuts. And I just watched from the sidelines and going, okay. Because my politics is my sport. All right. The Democrat, hang on, Brian, I'm sorry, I got the wrong part here. All right. The 2024 election is barely in the rearview mirror, and the Democrats are already lining up their next candidates for 2028. And if the names sound familiar, they should, because they're the same people who just lost, the same people who ran their states into the ground, the same people who think you're too stupid to remember. Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, a collision course between two politicians whose only real skill is failing upward. Tonight, we expose what they don't want you connecting, the fraud, the incompetence, the power grab hiding behind the next reboot. That's right, but here's what's at stake. The Democrat Party's not reforming. They're not rethinking. They're not repackaging. They're just doing the same old game with the same old candidates, with the same old policy and the same refusal to take responsibility for the damage they've caused. Byron Donalds laid it out plainly. Democrats won't reform the Affordable Care Act. They won't embrace nuclear power. They won't embrace natural gas or coal. They won't back off the radical policies that created the affordability crisis crushing American families, but they'll put more gel in their hair and call it change. I mean, early polls. Kamala Harris is leading in some surveys for the 2028 nomination. Gavin Newsom is right behind her, or ahead, depending on the day. And these aren't serious candidates. These are brand names attached to records so bad they had to be hidden from voters the first time around. The party establishment's betting that you just won't notice. Now, before we move forward, I do want to speak directly to you, the people who watch this show, who share our work, keep us going every single day. This is the time of year we stop and we reflect on how grateful we are for this community. None of this would be possible without you, your encouragement, your comments, or your prayers, and your support. If you'd like to help us keep fighting and keep producing and keep telling the truth the only way that independent media can, we deeply appreciate your support at nnn.is/give. It's linked below. And if you can't donate, you can still help. Share the link to this video with a friend or family member. Text it to someone who needs to hear the truth. Those shares make a massive difference for us, and we are thankful for you. We see you, and we could not do this without you. Thank you. So here's where it gets really ugly. Kamala Harris is going through yet another reboot, another reset, another attempt to pretend the last campaign never happened. Insiders say her internal polling was so bad during 2024 that they forced her to do interviews, and when she bombed those, CBS had to edit the footage to hide the damage. You see, that's not leadership. That's life support. Gavin Newsom? A scathing report from California's own state auditor just labeled 8 separate agencies as high risk for waste, fraud, and mismanagement. That number doubled under Newsom watch. On his tenure, over $32 billion vanished in unemployment fraud. $24 billion more dumped into homelessness programs with no accountability. Critics are calling it the biggest taxpayer money laundering operation in modern American history. And this is who they want running the country. Oh, but we have this from Polymarket. Polymarket prediction, Gavin Newsom is the favorite for 2028 Democrat presidential nomination. Where is Kamala? Let's check in with Byron Donalds.
In America.
Is it working?
I don't know, and frankly, I don't care. Gavin can run if he wants to. He's the worst governor in America. His record is awful. Everybody knows this. It's also a reason why I think if you look at some of their polling, all these Democrat potential candidates are all within 1-2 points of each other because they're all bad. What is their policy set that's actually going to matter for the American people? Are any one of these Democrats going to go and actually reform the Unaffordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, or change it unilaterally so healthcare premiums actually decrease in the United States? Is any one of them going to embrace nuclear power or natural gas, or dare I say coal, because it's effective, it's cheap, and readily available to lower energy prices for the American people? They're not going to do that. They're going to stick to the radical policies, but they might put more gel in their hair. Not going to matter to people in their lives.
Congressman, you know what's changed? No one talks about green energy. No one's talking about the world coming to an end. The oceans are going to overflow the land. Al Gore's prediction of catastrophe if we don't go to electric cars. Nothing came true. Have you noticed that?
Oh, of course I've noticed it. I notice it every day. But so has the American people. They know that in the wintertime, guess what? It still snows. In the summertime, guess what? It's still hot. But at the end of the day, people are trying to make ends meet day to day. They're not thinking about the planet Earth 150 years from now. And by the way, according to these same people, back from the turn of the century, Florida was supposed to be underwater. Listening to these crazy people. People are sick of the dogma. They're sick of the political rhetoric. They want to see action. They want to see results. This is why Florida is the best state in the country. We got the best.
Yep. 2 most useless machine politicians in America are on a collision course.
Starting to go. Kamala is getting ready to run for president, Steve, just like we thought. She is apparently, according to Axios this morning, putting together her 2028 campaign. And she is starting to go after, here's where it gets good. And you and I have predicted this for a while. If it's Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris going up against each other on a primary stage, prepare yourself for fun and fireworks, because these two know each other's inner secrets. They know what's going on. They know each other's dirt. And according to Axios' reporting, Kamala is actually starting to sniff around Gavin's donors. And so when it starts to become money and you start to put the pressure on people saying, how can you support a white guy when here I am, a black woman looking to be president, it's going to be really tough for Democrat donors, I think, to make the decision as to who to support, even though she's a terrible candidate.
I mean, what is...
Yeah, we're already talking about 2028. A new poll shows Kamala Harris leading the 2028 field. Internal polling numbers for Kamala are so depressing that the Democrats forced her to do some interviews, as we saw. Here's the report out of California, all under Gavin Newsom.
Report that update. Mr. Speaker, the California State Auditor, the nonpartisan official auditor for the state, has just released a report that updates its assessment of the state's high-risk agencies. And the contents of this report are truly stunning. Not really that stunning, actually, for those of us who have experienced the California state government at work. But even given our very low expectations, what the auditor has just reported is truly troubling. And this comes, by the way, as our state's governor, Gavin Newsom, has recently boasted that California is the original Doge. Newsom held out California government as a model of, quote, efficient, responsive, and accountable government. So let's juxtapose that very notable statement, very surprising statement, with the clear-eyed fact-finding of the state auditor. So in this new report, which is issued annually, the auditor identifies high-risk state agencies. What does that mean? It means they pose a substantial risk of serious detriment to the state or its residents. To be considered high risk, an agency must not only exhibit serious waste, fraud, abuse, or mismanagement, but must also have failed to take adequate corrective action. So in this new report, the auditor has identified 8 separate California agencies as high risk. 4 of those 8 have joined the club, this dubious distinction, during the Newsom administration, including the newly added this year Department of Social Services. Among the findings as to why these various agencies are considered high risk are that massive payment errors in our CalFresh program could now cost the state $2.5 billion in federal funds. With Medi-Cal eligibility, ongoing problems in determining who's eligible, continuing to make payments, say to people who don't meet the income threshold or who have left the state entirely, is also putting billions of dollars at risk. Continued fraud and overpayment with our uninsurance benefits, the unemployment benefit, insurance benefits, are costing the state, continue to cost the state billions of dollars. This, of course, after the massive $32 billion fraud in unemployment benefits during the COVID years. Incredibly, the state has missed 6 straight deadlines for its annual comprehensive financial report, which puts in jeopardy our credit rating as well as federal funding. The auditor's report documents IT projects that languish for months, for years, as antiquated systems beleaguer our bureaucracy. This despite Silicon Valley being a stone's throw away. You have state entities that continue to, quote, fall short of minimum standards for information security, for cyber security, putting our state, our data, our privacy at risk. But alarmingly, it is more than just cybersecurity. It's also the security of our physical infrastructure. For instance, the auditor finds that there are 49 dams that pose, quote, an extremely high hazard to life and property. And it's getting worse. In just the last 2 years, the number of dams rated either poor or unsatisfactory has increased by 73%. The quality of government service is also unacceptably low. With the EDD, for example, not only do we have continuing ongoing massive fraud and overpayments, but the folks who actually deserve to get paid benefits have a heck of a time getting the benefits they're entitled to.
And that's all in the state ran by the guy who wants to be your next president. Gavin Newsom didn't just fail California, he ran the biggest taxpayer money laundering circus in modern history. On his watch, $32.6 billion vanished on unemployment fraud, $24 billion dumped into homeless programs. They can't even track where the money went. Caroline Levitt, back in November, calls Gavin Newsom out for committing election fraud in his own state.
The White House is in this vein. Does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
In this vein,
so here's what the establishment is counting on. They're betting you'll forget. They're betting that 4 years is enough to rebrand failure as inevitability. Kamala's team thinks she deserves another shot. Newsom camp thinks it's his turn. Neither of them have a policy. Neither of them have a record worth defending. They just know that if they control the House and muscle the media outcomes, it don't matter. Only power does. That's the bet. And that's the only thing standing between them and the White House is whether the American people are actually paying attention. So here's why this should terrify every American paying attention. The Democrat Party is not offering you a choice in 2028. They're offering you a rerun. Kamala Harris, the candidate so unpopular her own party sidelined her until they had no other option. Gavin Newsom, the governor who turned California into a cautionary tale of blackouts, crime, and fraud and fleeing residents. These aren't reformers. These aren't visionaries. These are politicians whose only argument is that it's their turn. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance is rising in the polls. Trump's economy is taking off, and the contrast could not be sharper. One side has results. The other side has reboots. So here's my question for the comments. Do you think that the Democrats can win in 2028 running Kamala or Newsom? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments right now. And don't forget to grab some gear from the Next News merch shop, linked in the description below. Newsom and Harris running is scary. They stole election once. They will try again. Of course they will. Of course. That's the only playbook that they know. All right. We are going to get into some miracles, Christmas miracles now. Because that's what really matters this time of year. Human nature, goodwill. Your neighbors, your friends, spending time with them. That's what matters. They want you to believe America's broken. They want you demoralized, divided, and hopeless heading into Christmas. But tonight we've got proof that something else is happening, something they can't explain, and they don't want you to see. 43 missing children rescued in a single operation. An elderly widow saved by a stranger who asked for nothing in return. A weapon that jammed at the exact moment it would have taken a life. Bible sales exploding across the country like we haven't seen in decades. Some of these are acts of extraordinary generosity. Some might just be providence. But together they paint a picture of Christmas miracles unfolding across the nation right now. And here's why this matters. You see, we spend so much time covering corruption and fraud and failure because that's what's threatening this country. But if that's all you see, you lose sight of something that's just as real. The goodness that still exists. The faith that still endures. The Americans who still step up when no one is watching and no camera is rolling. In Florida, federal marshals and local sheriffs just completed the largest child recovery operation in state history. Operation Northern Lights. 43 critically missing children. Some barely toddlers, some teenagers pulled back from the brink. Ages 1.5 to 17 alive and safe and home for Christmas. That's not a feel-good story. That's a national victory. That's law enforcement doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And it happened while most of the media looked the other way. As we wrap up 2025, though, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've learned, uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal is not a plan, it's a gamble. And for over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves by diversifying with gold and silver. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital, it's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So before the year ends, take one smart step towards a safer future. Visit nextnewsgold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's nextnewsgold.com. But the good news doesn't stop there. In North Carolina, an 85-year-old widow called a tree removal company begging for firewood. She said she couldn't pay. The owner, Paul Britton, didn't just drop off the wood. He fixed her car, repaired her roof, restored her heating and air conditioning. Then he rallied his community to raise $20,000 for her just before Christmas. No government program, no media tour, just Americans helping Americans. That's not just a miracle, that is character. As I said, Bible sales are surging nationwide. Over 2 million copies flying off the shelves as people search for something real. In Ohio, a police officer stared down death when a shoplifter pulled a gun point blank. The weapon jammed. The officer survived. Call that luck if you want. Some of us call it something else. Check this out. So many miracles. Shortly before he died, her brother promised her a miracle. Desperate and determined, she began using something that we can't talk about on YouTube. Let's find that miracle before Christmas. This is the story about the children.
Sheriff's office in Florida. This video, taken by the Leon County Sheriff's Office in Florida, shows federal agents and law enforcement officers working behind the scenes to rescue dozens of critically missing children.
This was the largest missing child operation ever conducted in northern Florida, and we're very proud to say that 43 children will now be home safe for the holidays.
According to the U.S. Marshals, through Operation Northern Light, children ranging from 1.5 to 17 years old were reunited with their families. Of those include a 1, 15, and 17-year-old missing out of Okaloosa County. The 1 and 17-year-old were rescued by U.S. Marshals outside Jackson, Mississippi. The agency says one person was arrested for interfering with child custody. The U.S. Marshals say the 15-year-old and the child's abductor were found in Ocala. The adult was arrested and charged with interference with child custody. Greg Legedal, acting U.S. Marshal for the Northern District of Florida, say the children that were saved were critically missing, meaning they were at risk of violent crimes or other serious harms like drugs, sexual exploitation, domestic violence, or crime exposure.
During the course of the operation, we ended up recovering children from multiple states, including Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. We had a lot of these cases that could potentially lead to charges of human trafficking, of interference with child custody, and just a lot of really, really bad situations that these children had found themselves in.
Leljadal says this wouldn't have been possible without the help of state law enforcement and local.
Let's keep going. Let's find that other story here. On a Christmas miracle here.
With us. Hey guys, HEB, we love you having you as our customers. Thank you for waiting with us. Unfortunately, the computers are not coming back up right now. So today, everything that you have, we are going to back you up, and we hope every one of you have a very Merry Christmas and continue to shop with us. So thank you so much for waiting with us. Thank you so much. So please be very...
They just gave everyone with carts. All their shopping carts free. Another Christmas miracle. A teenager spotted downtown without a phone. Here's that story about the 85-year-old widow.
I'm going to let you have this. Is Nana Abernathy. I was going to let you know that we're going to give you this load of wood for free. I ain't coming back for no money.
You ain't going...
I ain't going to charge you. I'm going to let you have it for free.
Thank you.
I know you said that you was having a rough time, and that's what we try to do. We try to help people out, and I wanted to bless you before Christmas, and we're not coming back for no money.
That's the nicest Christmas present I could get.
It's all for you. Can I get a hug?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. I hope you have a great Christmas and a great holiday, and I hope the Lord blesses you.
Okay.
Okay? You have a good evening.
He just did.
He just did. That's right.
Thank you.
Yep. I'll get you took care of, and we'll get this dumped out right here for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You have a great. That's a beautiful load of wood right there. It's cut pretty small too. That way she can handle it nice and be easy on her. This is Nana Abernathy. I was going to let you know that.
Gets a Christmas gift of wood. Faith comes alive. Bible sales are exploding.
Actually, we see Bible sales surging. I know we saw this after Charlie Kirk's assassination, but we've seen this trend actually over the last several years, and 2.4 million Bibles were sold in the U.S. in September. That's the most recent number that we have, Ariel. It's an 11% jump since a year ago. What are you hearing from young people who maybe didn't have any faith in their life prior to maybe finding the Bible or finding you guys, however they came to it?
Yeah, I think we're living in a culture where, it says follow, do you, make your money, by all means get to where you need to be. And Jesus's message is the complete opposite of that. He says, follow me and you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. And I think as especially Gen Z and millennials are starting to read that, they're like, wait a minute, this is freedom. And I don't have to be perfect to come to Jesus. I actually found him at the bottom of the pit, and he's still accepting me, and he's loving me, and he's healing me, and he's radically saving my mind. Jesus is the only way. Nothing will ever satisfy you other than Jesus Christ. And I think, the money, the popularity, the success that people are chasing, they're finding that it's death. It will never satisfy you.
We see Bible sales.
Bible sales are exploding. Here's another miracle. A woman regaining her hearing after being prayed for at church.
And then this girl at church was praying over me, and I couldn't hear her because she was next to my bad ear. And she was just praying, and then immediately I could start hearing her pray. And so I looked at her weird. I was like, I hear you, Amy. And so it was just a crazy, just instant, immediately hearing, and it was fully gone, fully recovered. Yeah.
Have you gone back to the doctor since then?
Yeah, it's perfectly normal.
What are they saying? I'm like, this is wild.
They're really confused, but miracle.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That is
miracles happening all the time. Oh. You don't see this on the news. Another Christmas miracle.
I want another dog.
You were not supposed to give me that.
I know you said you didn't ever want another dog.
Oh, God.
Well, I couldn't help myself. This is for you and for Pops. Here, turn around.
Oh, my goodness. People giving dogs. What do you want for Christmas? An American flag hanging. What is that? It's a cat. Caught by an American flag as it was hanging from the. How did it even get there? I mean, the cat would have been fine. They have 9 lives. Where's that story about the? I saw this on Instagram. Former Nickelodeon actor Tyler Chase has been located and placed in a hotel after going viral last week. A man found him smoking with Chase's father. Former co-stars are encouraging him to seek rehab. Look at that, child star Hollywood.
Allies. Hey, bro, you brought us so much happiness on TV. I'm gonna bring you a little happiness today. All right. God bless you, my friend. You brought us a lot of happiness on Nickelodeon, so. Thank you very much. No problem, man. It's the least we could do for you. It was called Ned's Declassified, his school survival guide that he created with his best allies, his best friends. Cool, bro. Hey, you have a good one, okay?
All right, so I just got off the phone with the rehab center that Sean Weiss from the Mighty Ducks had posted saying that they have a bed and a rehab center ready for Tyler Chase tonight if he is coherent and ready to get help. So right now I'm on my way to find Tyler at the same spot that I just saw him at. And hopefully if he's ready and able to, I'll get him in my car, take him to a rehab center tonight so he could get help.
Ugh, people doing great things for you. This is humanity in action. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Here's a shoplifter. Walmart theft in Ohio escalated to life or death showdown when a shoplifter pulled a gun on an officer.
This Walmart bus turned critically dangerous in seconds.
Got anything on you I need to know about? Why'd you hand in your pockets? It's not holding. I'm gonna pat you down real quick, all right?
Shoplifters Shane Newman and Katerina Jeffrey got caught stealing and escorted to the loss prevention office. Newman lied about not having a weapon, then suddenly whipped out a gun, aimed it at the officer's head, and pulled the trigger.
Hey!
Miraculously, it jammed. A quick-thinking security guard snatched the gun as the officer drew his, and they tackled the suspect. No one got hurt thanks to that split-second failure.
What goes through your mind when you see that video?
It's harrowing. It's my heart dropped into my stomach.
Newman faces attempted murder and more with $1 million bond. Jeffrey was charged as well. What if that gun had fired?
So here's the pattern they don't want you to notice. While institutions rot and narratives collapse, the human spirit keeps punching back. Children are being rescued. Widows are being helped. Communities are stepping up. Faith is reawakening. Even a former child actor lost to the streets was found, sheltered, and urged towards recovery by people who refused to give up on him. Evil doesn't get the final word because it's just loud. This is America. They told you that this is the America they told you was gone. It isn't. It's just been waiting for courage, for action, and for people to remember that Christmas miracles don't always come from above. Sometimes they come from right next door. So here's why the story matters more than any scandal we've covered tonight. Because if you only see the darkness, you forget what we're fighting for. 43 children are home tonight because someone decided to act. An elderly woman has heat this winter because a stranger decided that she mattered. A police officer is alive because something intervened at the exact right moment. And millions of Americans are picking up Bibles again because they're hungry for truth that lasts longer than a news cycle. This is the America that still exists underneath all the noise. The America that runs towards trouble instead of away from it. The America where neighbors help neighbors and strangers become family. So whether you call it miracles or just good people doing good things, the result's the same. Hope is alive this Christmas. So here's my question for you tonight. Do you believe America is experiencing a revival of faith and generosity? Yes or no? Sound off in the comments. Merry Christmas from all of us at the Next News Network. And that's the show, folks. We've covered a lot of ground. We started with Congress dusting off a 250-year-old constitutional weapon, letters of marque and reprisal, aiming it directly at the drug cartels. Senator Mike Lee, Representative Tim Burchett, and even Elon Musk are backing the plan to authorize American privateers to seize cartel assets outside our borders. Legal piracy, and it might actually happen. Then we follow the money trail from Minnesota straight through the Obama DOJ, a system allegedly designed to funnel taxpayer dollars to political allies while freezing out everybody else. Tony West, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, the same names, the same circles. And now James Comer is pulling the Treasury receipts. We watched the DEI empire crumble in real time. Trump ripped it out of the NIH. J.D. Vance declared the apology era over. A police chief melted down on camera after getting caught falsifying crime stats. A Facebook executive went to prison for stealing millions. And for the first time in years, the EEOC is enforcing civil rights laws equally for everyone. Then we exposed the 2028 Democrat frontrunners before they even get started. Kamala Harris on her third or fourth reboot. Gavin Newsom sitting on top of $30 billion in California fraud. Neither one with a policy, neither one with a record worth defending. Just two politicians betting you will forget. And then we ended where we should, with Christmas miracles. 43 children rescued in Florida, an elderly widow saved by a stranger in North Carolina, a police officer alive because a gun jammed at the exact right moment. And millions of Americans picking up Bibles again, searching for something real. I started this show by taking you back to December 23rd, 1783. That was the day that George Washington walked into the Maryland State House and voluntarily gave up power. The day he proved that in America, the military serves the people and not the other way around. King George himself said if Washington did it, he'd be the greatest man in the world, and that's exactly what he did. That is what tonight is about. The fight between those who hoard power and those who return it to the people. The fight between systems built to protect the connected and the Americans rising up to expose them. Washington understood that fight. And 242 years later, so do we. So before I go, thank you to everybody who sent in super chats, Rumble Rants tonight. Everyone hanging out in the chat, keeping the conversation going. You're the reason we do this. If you did get value from the show tonight, please tell your friends. Share the link. Check out our merch shop. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. So from my family to yours, from the whole Next News family here, Merry Christmas, America. Hold your loved ones close. And remember what matters. And thank God we still have a country worth fighting for. I'm Gary Franchi. This has been The Raw Freed. And we'll see you at the next one.